Welcome back. Let us now enter into the first session. We'll start with the Anahata Chakra. This chakra is located in the heart region. In Sanskrit, Anahata means that which cannot be created. This chakra is locked when you seek attention and love from others. It can be made to flower by expressing selfless love. The Anahata Chakra is concerned with love, sentiments, and similar emotions. It gets locked when we constantly seek attention from others instead of exuding love from ourselves. Its very meaning is that which cannot be created, and it signifies that real love can never be created from outside and put into you. It can just happen in you. It can happen when a deep awareness enters you. When real love happens, we will stop seeking attention from others and become a source of energy ourselves. What do we mean by attention seeking? Whatever we do, whatever we think, we are subconsciously seeking concurrence and approval from the people around us in some subtle way. We are very keen that we should earn a good name from everyone. We may not do this in a very obvious fashion, but if you analyze deeply, you will not be at ease without the appreciation and endorsement of the people around you. This endorsement, this approval is what we call attention need. 80% of our problems are due to this asking for attention or approval. If you just sit and note down in a day how many things you do to get a good name, to maintain your reputation in society, you will see. You will find that all the 24 hours, all your lifetime, you are involved in getting approval from others. All your life, you are on a signature campaign, getting approval signatures from family and society. All your activities, all your efforts are to get the signature of the others around you. In a big register, you make a column, good father. And everything that you do for your children, you do and expect their signature of approval under that column. Then you go to your wife, to your boss, to your friends. You prepare columns with suitable headings like good husband, good employee, good friend, etc. And then wait for them to sign under it. You are requesting for approval signatures all the time. Of course, all these people also come to you for your signature. You too need to sign on their registers under the columns applicable to you. Each of us is continuously on a signature campaign. We need to collect as many good opinions as possible from society and then prove our worth to ourselves and to society. Why do we bother so much about others' opinions about us? Why can't we judge ourselves by our own strength and continue to do our work? Why are we deriving strength from others? All this is because of two things. One, we don't know anything about ourselves. We know ourselves only through others' opinions of us, only through others' certificates. Second, when others give us their approval and attention, they are actually giving us energy to move on. Attention is energy. That is why we feel so boosted when they give us attention. Attention in any form is all right for us. In most of the houses, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law will be constantly fighting with each other. They'll be constantly complaining about each other to the poor man, the son or the husband. But for a few days, if one of them goes out of town, what happens? The other starts missing them. Although they are fighting all the time, they miss each other when they are not together. Why does this happen? When they fight with each other all the time, they are actually getting that much of attention upon themselves from the other person. Don't think that only positive attention is energizing. Any form of attention is energizing. Both of them subconsciously enjoy the attention that they get from the other when they fight. That is why they miss each other. They actually miss the attention. But when they start missing each other, they term it as love. They say that they miss each other because of love. Of course, it is perfectly possible. But I want you to understand that attention is nothing but energy. Energy which keeps us in good spirit. It is a subtle form of energizing ourselves, and we are not aware of this. Understand, when we need something, that something is not love, it is attention. You don't need love, you are love yourself. So when you say that you need love, when you say that you need to be loved, you are really in need of attention, not love. People come and tell me that their sons and daughters do not love them enough in their old age. What they really mean is that their sons and daughters are not giving them the attention, the energy that they need in their old age. Actually, if you see, as we grow older, we should become more and more centered within ourselves. This can happen out of a growing sensitivity to the existential energy inside us. But what happens is, because we have been dependent on others for attention and energy all our lives, because the love that we know exists only in relationships, because we have lived with no awareness and sensitivity to what is inside us, when we get older, we start missing the love that came from outside, or the attention that came from outside. Your family becomes busy with other things, and they don't interact with you as they used to. So we start complaining with age. You are actually complaining because even with your so-called experience of life, you have not understood, and you don't have the awareness that your energy source lies within you and not anywhere outside. That is why, with age, instead of living life with more joy and energy, you live life with reduced energy. Your energy source, that is the people around you, no more give the kind of energy they gave you earlier. When you are dependent on external sources of energy, it only means that you are psychologically handicapped. When you need physical support, you are physically handicapped. When you need psychological support, you are psychologically handicapped. That's all. With physical handicap, you know that you are handicapped because you can see it clearly. But with psychological handicap, you don't even know that you are handicapped. You are not even aware of it. When you are not aware of it, you will not know the consequences that it can give rise to. When the consequences or disease happens, you will wonder what the reasons are. If you have seen children play, you might have seen them building castles with cards. They will place the cards at a certain angle to each other and build several layers of such patterns in a pyramid shape. It will be beautiful to look at. But if you remove even one card from the castle, from anywhere, the whole castle will collapse. The higher the castle, the more the chances of collapsing. Just like this, we build our own self-image like a castle out of people's opinions of us. We collect certificates or signatures from our father, mother, boyfriend, girlfriend, teacher, friends, and whatnot. And then we arrange all these certificates and signatures and build a castle to form our self-image. The image will look beautiful and we feel very happy. But if even one person withdraws their certificate or strikes out their signature, what happens? The castle collapses. You start feeling miserable about yourself. You feel depressed. You feel that the whole world has come to an end. You see, at least in the case of children, they build their castles with their own cards. But we build our castles with others' cards, with others' certificates. We don't have control over the castle because it is built with other people's certificates. So what do? We start working hard in maintaining the castle, in guarding it well. We start behaving in such a way so that people don't remove their certificates or signatures. We start doing things to get their continuous approval because their approval becomes our bread and butter. A small story. There was a lady who once went shopping with her husband. She wanted to buy a coat for herself. They visited many shops, but she could not find what she wanted. The husband became tired. He asked, "Dear, do you know the exact kind of coat you want to buy?" The wife replied, "Of course, dear. I'm looking for a drop-dead coat." The husband could not understand what she meant. He asked, "What is a drop-dead coat?" She replied, "When people see it, they will drop dead." We are all the time looking to see how we can collect certificates from people. Every action of ours is unconsciously related to what people will say to it, how people will react to it. For example, a bag may come reasonably within your budget, and it may have a lot of utility value also. But unconsciously, your mind will visualize you holding that bag and what others will think when they see you with it. Then you decide that it is not good enough for others to see you holding it. You start choosing again. But you will not agree that you are searching for certificates because it is an unconscious process in you. We become almost like a centipede. A centipede needs 100 legs to walk. Just like that, we need the synchronous approval of everyone for us to walk in life. What happens if even one leg of the centipede is not all right? It will be stranded where it is. What happens to us when even one approval fails to be got? We fall into depression. If we are so dependent on others, there is every possibility that we will fall into depression. People who suffer from depression are actually suffering from attention need. Over time, something happens. They don't get enough attention and they are not capable of handling it. Just one word is enough to put us into depression. But we don't know the real reason for our depression. So what do? We start taking medicines to cure it. How will it heal? The cause for the depression is inside you, and you look at medicines for help. When people come to me with depression, I tell them to do the simple Mahamantra meditation to start with. And I tell them that slowly we will stop the medicines. You see, these people need to be shown that their energy source lies within them, and meditation can show them that. Depending on the sincerity with which they do the meditation, they can simply harness the energy inside them and come out of depression. Medicines will only dull them even more. This needs to be clearly understood. I tell you, when you derive your energy from outside, it can simply play havoc on you, and you become just a puppet. An experiment was conducted in Chicago University on 11 people. A young, healthy, and intelligent man wakes up and gets ready to go for work. His wife looks at him and tells him, "You're looking tired. Are you all right?" He feels irritated by her comment and tells her to stop imagining things, and he leaves. As he takes his car out of the garage, his neighbor is watching him and shouts out, "Are you feeling well? You're looking out of sorts." The man is surprised this time, but tells him that he is all right and drives out. He reaches his office and he walks in. The receptionist looks at him with concern and says, "Sir, you look ill. Why did you come to work?" The man replies, "Well, I think I'm fine. Let's see." And he goes to his cabin. He starts to work, and a colleague enters and tells, "Hey, you look awful. What's the matter? You have fever or something?" Now by this time, it becomes too much for the man. He begins to feel uneasy and sick. Just then, his boss calls him in and says, "You look really unwell. Are you sure you can carry on today? Why don't you go and see the doctor?" The young man has had enough. He feels positively ill by now. He says he would like to go home, and he leaves the office. As he drives home in his car, he feels his temperature is rising. When he reaches home, his wife is surprised to see him back. She reaches out and touches his forehead and finds that he has temperature. A man who was healthy and happy in the morning became actually sick by afternoon. And how did he become sick? Just by people telling him that he was sick. The people were set up to tell him the same thing again and again. And what happened? He actually fell sick. This experiment was conducted on not one but 11 people, and all the 11 people fell sick at the end of it. Now this is what happens when you are not centered in your own energy that is inside you. You will simply move from a high to a low just because of the influences from outside. When we become centered in us, nothing outside can shake us. We all continue to do things for getting praise and approval, but we do it in the name of love and duty. People come and tell me, "Swamiji, we don't do things for praise or approval. We do it because it is our duty." Be very clear. The moment you claim that you are doing your duty, you are doing it because if you don't do it, your people will stop approving you. Your people will approve of you as long as you fulfill every small thing that is expected of you. Even one small slip in what you are doing, you will be able to see the change in their relationship with you. You know this, and so you do your duty. You will say, Swamiji, I am their father. If I don't provide for them, who will? See, try to understand. I am not saying that you should not provide for them. You have given birth to them. You have to provide for them till such time they become independent and can do things for themselves. But what you are doing, do it out of no expectation whatsoever. Let it be an act which is an expression of the loving energy inside you. Right now, you might claim that you are not doing it out of any expectation. But when reciprocity from the other side dips a little, you will know. You will be able to observe the tension in you, the agitation in you, the disappointment in you. This agitation, this tension, this disappointment, all this is the result of the expectation that was inside you when you did your duty. The degree of these things may vary with each person, of course, but it is bound to be there at some level. And when it is there, you are not doing it out of just an expression of the living energy inside you. You are doing it out of a lesser, limited quality called duty or so-called love. It is not an expression of the existential energy inside you. It is a mere outer world transaction, that's all. The Bhagavad Gita beautifully says, Karmanyevadikarasya ma phaleshu kadachana. It means, your job is only to do the work, not to be concerned about the result. You need to keep doing things because you have so much of loving energy inside you. You can just exude energy without any reason or any expectation. When you are like this, you will not be bothered about the results. When I say you are not bothered about the results, I don't mean that out of a frustrated or cynical conclusion, you are not bothered. What I mean is, you don't even know to expect results because you are continuously moving and expressing your blissful inner energy. So we can't say that you don't expect results. You are just flowing joyfully, that's all. This flowing energy is real love. When you start expecting from other people, there will be no end to it. And let me tell you, the most difficult thing is to satisfy all the people around you. Do you think you can satisfy all the people all the time? Never. It is the most impossible thing to do on planet Earth. A small story. A husband and wife were celebrating their 50 years of marriage. The wife presented the husband with 2 shirts for the occasion. He was very touched and he said that he would go out for dinner instead of her cooking at home. It was a very tender moment for both of them. He freshened up, and to make his wife happy, he wore one of the shirts and he came out. As he came down, she looked up and smiled, but soon her expression changed and she said, "So the other shirt is no good?" It is not possible to make another person totally happy. First of all, you satisfy yourself. Find fulfillment in yourself. That is enough. And then let this fulfillment have nothing to do with the people around you. Let it just be a bubbling energy inside you, irrespective of the conditions and people outside. That is enough. It is good to do something for others. It is good to give attention, to give respect, but out of a deep, energizing love. Not out of fear, not because we are afraid that they will take away their certificates. Never invest so much in others' opinions that they become the center of your life. Don't make others as the source of your energy. Don't depend on them for your psychological survival. When you are dependent on others for your happiness, you are giving them control of your life. Be your own source of energy and inspiration. Come to a clear understanding that real joy is not possible when you place your center on someone else. If you understand this, half the problem is solved. As I told you earlier, because you don't know anything about yourself, you turn to society for an answer. And society happily puts its labels on you. You are a good father, you are good looking, you are a failure, and whatnot. Like how a parcel without a proper address is pushed from place to place, we move around without an anchor point in society, just collecting all these stamps. We are not anchored inside. We don't know that we are not the labels, but the stuff inside the parcel. And because we don't know this, we have to depend on society's stamps to show us the way. And by, we completely forget that we are the stuff inside, the parcel and not the labels. And we totally get disconnected from the existential energy which is inside us. The Anahata Chakra, when opened, can kindle and radiate the existential energy in you, the source of infinite energy in you, and can make you flow with selfless love, with no expectations, only joy towards everyone and everything, towards existence as a whole. A small story. Brahma Sutra is a book, probably the greatest book available to humanity. It is the unabridged edition of world philosophy, from which all other philosophies originated. It is the book of books. It was written by Vedavyasa, the greatest Indian scholar ever. An enlightened master once gave this book to one of his disciples, whose name was Vachaspati Mishra, and he asked him to write a commentary on this book. The master also gave his daughter Bhamati in marriage to him, and soon died. Vachaspati Mishra started out on his task very earnestly. He was continuously engaged in writing. It became a sort of intense and transforming meditation for him. He wrote for months. Soon months became years and years became decades. He saw nothing else, thought about nothing else, and heard nothing else during that time. Finally, he finished the great work. Only the title of the book remained to be given. At that moment, he looked up from his work. He saw an old lady lighting the lamp next to him. Vachaspati Mishra was surprised. He asked her, "Who are you?" The lady replied, "Never mind about me. Continue with your work." He said, "The book is complete. Tell me, who are you?" The lady said, "I am your wife." Vachaspati Mishra was shocked. He was simply shocked at what had happened. For 30 years, he had written the book without a thought about his wife. He could not believe himself. "Why didn't you remind me all these years?" he cried. "What for? You were immersed in the book. I felt no need to disturb you," she replied very quietly. Then Vachaspati Mishra continued, "You sacrificed your entire life for the sake of humanity. What can I do to make up for it? So Bhamati replied, "It has been a joy to serve you. I feel privileged that I was able to serve you while you wrote this great book. Nothing more is needed." Vachaspati Mishra shed tears of joy. He paid his wife the greatest tribute. He named his life's work after her, Bhamati. He named the book Bhamati. Even today, the most outstanding commentary on humanity's most precious book carries her name, Bhamati. Bhamati has become immortal because of her selfless devotion and love. She was so enough unto herself. It is not that she did not want to disturb her husband. She did not need to. Now there is a big difference between the two. Most of the time, we want attention, but we keep quiet thinking that we should not disturb the other, or that we should not be a nuisance to them, isn't it? But here, we are talking of a person who did not need attention. That is the difference. She did not feel that her youth was being wasted. She was not making any compromise. She was being her natural self, that's all. And that was enough for her. She did not have to exercise any difficult choice in not disturbing her husband. She was so centered in her inner energy that it did not matter to her at all. We can say Bhamati lives even after she died. We are all dying every minute when we live. That is the difference. Today, in our houses, can you read the newspaper for half an hour in peace? Just look inside sincerely into your own situations. Can your wife watch her serial on TV for half an hour? Just when you are reading the newspaper, your wife will think of telling you all the important things that happened at home the previous day. And she'll complain that you are not giving her enough attention. She will say that you are with the newspaper all the time. And exactly when your wife is watching her favorite TV serial, you will feel hungry and you will want her to serve food for you at that time. You will curse the television box for showing the serials at the wrong times. These are all familiar patterns of arguments. A small story. A man was sitting with his wife in a restaurant. They ordered food and were waiting for it to come. The wife complained, "Ever since we entered the restaurant, you've been reading that paper." The husband apologized. "I'm sorry, dear." And he signaled to the waiter, "Can we have another newspaper, please?" You see, all of us are seeking attention all the time. And when we don't get it, we are upset. This is the root cause for all anger, disappointment, and frustration in our lives. We need to stop asking and we need to start giving. We need to radiate energy instead of asking for energy. But we don't even know how to shift the focus from us to the other. We are so used to seeing ourselves as the center of attention. We need to start seeing the world outside as the center of attention. Now, how do we do this? For the next few days, I want you all to do this small exercise. Choose a partner from amongst yourselves of the same gender. Look after that partner completely. Your first concern should always be for the other person's comfort. Make sure that he or she is happy and comfortable. Find out if they need anything more. Instead of grabbing the plate for yourself first, give that person the plate and then take it for yourself. Suppose there is no warm water coming in your room. Find out if there's warm water for them in their room. And I don't want you to pair up with your friends or relatives. Please do not choose people whom you can exchange addresses with later on, with whom you can be friends later on. Simply choose a stranger, maybe the person standing closest to you. Just choose at random. Almost all our lives, we worry only about ourselves. At the most, we worry about our close family. And that too because we think it is our duty. And we think that it is love. When you start doing this exercise, when you choose a partner and you start doing this exercise, you will get a chance to see what selfless love is like. It is selfless because you don't expect anything from the other person. You see, real love is something so deep, so energizing, that you will not know it unless you experience it. Love is an expression of energy, not something that is transacted. Tell me one thing. Can you love people whom you meet for the first time? No, Swamiji. Why not? We don't even know them, Swamiji. Then how can we love them? Exactly. This is how you think. Let me tell you, with a little bit of intellectual understanding and meditation, you will realize that you can simply love without a reason. You can love the trees on the road. You can caress them and feel the energy flow from you. You can love people whom you pass by on the road without even knowing them. Love is actually your very being, not a distilled quality that you possess. Nothing is as misconstrued as love is today. Today, love is more of a transaction. If someone says something is nice to you, you love him. Tomorrow, if the same person falls short of it, then you don't love him as much, or you probably hate him. Even your lifelong friend, with whom you chat every day on the computer, whichever part of the world you are in, will seem suddenly not so close if he says something that goes against your approval. It will take you a while to get back to him with the same intensity as before. Then where is your love at this time? It has suffered temporarily. These are just the games that you play. A game in which love and hate surface alternately and interchangeably. And this love-hate relationship is not love at all. Be very clear. It is simply your reaction to a person or a situation, that's all. And this is what we call love. This is not real love. It is purely subjective love. Real love knows no object. It is simply there whether there is an object or not. Real love is the subject itself. It does not know any object. You are the subject and you have become love, that's all. Any object that comes in touch with it will feel it. Like how a river flows naturally and people enjoy it at different places, wherever they may encounter it, real love exudes from a person and the people around the person will be able to feel it. This is true. There is absolutely no room for conditionings in real love. The energy inside you should overflow and express itself as love. It is only then that you can break through the highly knotted boundaries of relationships. It is only then that you can express yourself beautifully as a loving being. Do you understand? In order to discover the quality of your being that is love, two things can be done. The first thing, repeatedly listen to words like these so that they create a conviction in you about what is being said. So that they create a space in you to start the process of transformation. And the second thing, meditate so that the transformation can actually happen in you. In practical life, when we go deeper and deeper into relationships, you will understand that all that you feel is not real love, but just some form of give and take. It is all just some adjustment, some compromise, some duty-bound feelings, some fear maybe, some guilt. That's all. It's not real love. It is all there just in the name of love. Meditation will take you to depths inside yourself, and that will help you to rise above the misunderstandings of love. Meditation will work at the being level. That is why it is a shortcut. When you have to go through life and know by yourself, it will take you a lifetime. But with meditation, a space opens inside you to experience these things clearly for yourself, no matter what your age may be. Just understand one thing. When you're able to love without a reason, you will expand like anything. Your world will suddenly seem larger than life and so ecstatic. You will feel the source of your own energy within you, not outside. You will become an energy source to yourself first and only then to others. The energy in you has to touch others. There is no other way. Because you will be continuously overflowing with the energy. Others will be naturally drawn to you. You'll become total and loving. Yes, anyone wants to clarify anything? Any questions? Swamiji, what about love between a mother and a child? Is it not selfless love? Even motherly love comes with expectations, Ma. Many times, people have confronted me with arguments when I say this. Let me tell you, a mother loves her son, all right. But at the end of the day, there is a non-perceivable, unwritten expectation written on that love. If the son rubs her on the wrong side just once, the first words that would come out would be those telling her about the things that she had done for him since his childhood. A small dent in the relationship is enough to bring the whole thing out. Real love is the expression of the existential energy in you, and this love can never think of any such arguments. It only knows to flow without a reason. It doesn't know to maintain any track record. It doesn't know to keep records and connect with the past and then argue. It flows because it overflowed, that's all. It never questions because it does not know how to question. The moment you cite incidents from the past, it means that expectations were always there hidden behind your love. And when it is this way, it can never be real love. Please understand that. It is the same way when it comes to the mother and son relationship also. The son loves the mother, expecting her to look after him, expecting her to wake up at 5 and pack his lunch for him, expecting her to maintain his clothes for him. He adores his mother because he enjoys the care and concern, the luxury. A small story. A boy was learning fractions in his school. One day, the teacher asked him, if there was a cake and we divided it into 5 portions and we gave it to each of your family members, what fraction of the cake will you get? The boy replied, 2/5, ma'am. Then the teacher asked, "How is that possible? Haven't you studied your fractions well?" The boy replied, "Ma'am, my mother will give me her piece if I like the cake." You see, mothers want to sacrifice for their children, which is all right. But the attitude with which they sacrifice is what we are talking about. They should do it out of simply an overflowing in them, not out of any hidden expectations. These events will never get recorded in them if they do it out of an overflowing. And even if they get recorded, they will not surface with a vengeance when things like this happen. Only when they do it as a duty-bound love, they will record these incidents and they will also recall them. Common love always thrives on expectation. No one can deny this. Although everyone may vehemently try to deny it, it does thrive on expectations. The expectation in love is so well woven into it that it is hard to perceive it and very hard to believe when someone talks about it. Actually, as long as things go smoothly, it is difficult to believe this. But we hear of so many cases where sons and daughters are just written off from the family for simple reasons. Simply because they married outside the community, or simply because there was some fight in the family. Where did all the love disappear suddenly? Until such incidents happened, the son or daughter would have been loved very much in the family. The so-called love would have reigned supreme. Then what happened suddenly? Why did it suddenly disappear? How can it disappear if it was real love? This is not the kind of reaction that real love will generate. The real love can never confuse itself with anything else because nothing can make it stop from flowing. It is not bound by any cause-effect cycle. Even in subtle family issues, if you are deeply aware, you will understand how bound your love is. Just try to rearrange a few things in your life and watch how your own family will react to it. With your children, as long as you provide for them in the name of love, they also enjoy living out of your graciousness, all in the name of love. As long as you don't rub each other the wrong way, it is all right. If either of you behaves in an unexpected fashion, then the mood of love completely changes. The whole flavor changes. It doesn't take much time or effort for the flavor to change because it is not a natural flavor. It is an artificial flavor with an artificial coloring. Love which is always under threat is not real love at all. It is just an arranged love. And anything arranged can never be total. And when something is not total, it is always under threat. It is continuously under threat. Love needs to be a celebration, not a duty. And one more thing. We all confuse love with respect. Be very clear. When you love totally, nothing you do can appear disrespectful. You see, when you closely observe respect, you will find that when certain people do certain things, it appears absolutely normal. While the same thing, when some other person does it, it appears disrespectful. Why? The energy behind the person doing the act is what causes the act to seem respectful or disrespectful. When the energy behind you is total, you can get away with anything. When you're not sure of yourself, you will get caught with the problems of respect. I'm not asking you to be disrespectful. I'm only saying that when your being resonates with love, your body language will be such that your actions can never seem disrespectful. But if you get caught with respect instead of love, then you're missing the whole thing. then instead of being loving, you will start pretending. And when you pretend, you are not total. When you are centered on respect, you will pretend, because respect is societal and it keeps changing in its definition. But if you are centered on love, then respect simply becomes a joyful byproduct. So center yourself on love and respect will automatically happen. Remember, respect is dead. Love is alive. Respect creates a distance. Love knows no distance. People are trained to be so fearful and respectful of God all the time. They are never taught to love God. They are not allowed to touch the idols in the temples. They are expected to stand at a distance and bow down with reverence. They are taught to be wary of God. Understand, the first thing that children should be taught is that God is love. If you cannot embrace God, there is nothing left to embrace, because God is everything. When you teach your child that you cannot embrace God, you're actually teaching him that God is different from the rest. By putting God on a pedestal, you're actually alienating yourself from the whole of existence, and you're missing like anything. Just have some social intelligence and play the game of respect in an intelligent way when required. That's enough. Mind you, this kind of respect will come along with deep awareness and intelligence. But it will not distract you from your center. It will not cause you to be less loving. It will merely be an act of intelligence. That's all. A small story. A mother went with her child to a public function. Somehow she lost track of the child and they got separated in the crowd. The mother got very panicky and started searching all over for the child. Suddenly she heard a voice behind her. "Maria, Maria!" And she turned round and saw her daughter. She ran to her, hugged her, and asked, "But why were you calling me Maria instead of Mom?" The child replied, "That would have been of no use. There are so many moms around here." Children are still centered in themselves, and they are more alive and more alert than us. Because of this, they get away so easily. Their innocence, their love, their body language, all of this speaks for them, not their words. Once the mind steps in with the societal conditionings, this innocence just disappears. Then we have to make up with words and pretensions because we have forgotten how to be innocent and how to be total. When love becomes a duty, it becomes nothing but a burden. And when it becomes a burden, you will not be celebrating. You will be under pressure all the time. Parents teach children reasons to love. From a young age, love is taught with a reason. Do we ever teach them to love the earth? Do we teach our children to love nature? But we teach them to love our relatives. We teach them to love us. We teach them to love everyone who will be of some use to them in some way. If you teach them to embrace nature, you are sowing the seed of real love in them. I have seen many parents. They will teach their kids to throw garbage in public places and destroy the beauty of nature. The same parents who teach the children to love the family will teach them to abuse nature. If you have real love in you, you will not abuse nature. And if you have real love in you, you will embrace nature and people alike. You see, you have to sow the right seed. Only then the desired plant will grow. You should sow the right seed and create the right conditions for love to flower inside the child. This is where meditation helps. Meditation helps in sowing the seed, in creating the space inside for this growth to happen. Nothing can be imposed from outside. The moment it is imposed, it will be either met with resistance or it will be carried out as a duty, as a burden. The love that we all talk about is just psychological slavery, nothing else. You enslave the person in the name of love, and he feels compelled to behave in a particular fashion. With physical slavery, you will at least know that you are being enslaved. But with psychological slavery, it is so cunning that you will not even know that you are being enslaved until you come across a situation where you are mature enough to perceive it, to understand it. Why do you think there is so much of guilt in all of us? It is because the love that we know always comes along with guilt. When love is total, when love is pure energy from your being, it can never bring guilt. You feel guilty only because you always feel that you have not loved enough, that you have failed in love somewhere. And why have you not loved enough? Because you have been taught only ordinary love, never the total love. I tell you, when you have loved totally, you will never feel guilty or sad when someone dies. You may feel sad at the physical separation, but you will never feel that you have missed anything when they were living. When I say total love, I don't mean that you should have fulfilled all their expectations of attention and wants. I mean, you should have been centered in yourself well and exuded that kind of energizing love towards them, seeing and respecting them as a part of existence. If you had been this way, you would have experienced them in a joyful fashion, and you will not feel any guilt when they pass away. Family always instills guilt in you so that it can have control over you. Guilt is nothing but a hangover of many kinds of emotions because you did not explore the emotion in totality. Never allow guilt to possess you. I'm not saying that you can do what you please and not feel guilty about it. No. Understand, you need to live totally from your center with a deep awareness and understanding, and then there will be no room for guilt at all. True love always gives without a care, and it doesn't know how to ask. It does not know any trade. It knows only to give, and it can never be created. See, it is like this. You can create a plastic rose, but will it have the fragrance of the real rose? No. In the same way, true love can never be created. The love that you live in your everyday lives is just like the plastic rose with no fragrance. It appears real, but has no fragrance. For the real rose to happen in you, you need to create the right conditions, the right soil, the right amount of water, and then it will just happen on its own. Similarly, for true love to happen, you can create awareness, clarity, a deep understanding within yourself, and it will blossom from inside you. In a college gathering, one girl asked me, "Swamiji, was it failure in love that caused you to become a sannyasi?" I told her that it was success in love that caused me to become a sannyasi. Failure in love will create only a devdas, not a sannyasi. Only when you can love the whole world can you become a sannyasi. Only when you can love the whole world, it is real love. Real love knows no relationships. Only ordinary love knows relationships. In ordinary love, you love your father because he provides for you. You love your mother because she takes care of you. You love your boyfriend because he gives you sensual pleasure. These are the various reasons for ordinary love. But real love is not like that. It does not say, "Oh, this is my father, I must love him." No. It knows to keep loving everyone and everything. That's all it knows. With ordinary love, there will be failure and success. With real love, there is no failure or success. It just is. That's all. The success is in finding it. People think when nothing works out for you, when love becomes no more, you become a sannyasi. Sannyasis are looked upon as renunciates who are driven by frustration. I tell you, I feel so sad when I think of these people who say these things. They are in such deep ignorance, and they pass judgment from such a state of ignorance. Sannyas is the ultimate marriage to the divine. A true sannyasi is one who is so loving and compassionate that it is said that where he walks, the grass doesn't die. This is not a story, it is the truth. A true sannyasi is one who exudes compassion and love towards existence. A true sannyasi is one who knows that prayer is love and love is prayer. When you have found real love, your prayer will be just an expression of it. What are the Meera bhajans? They are the loving outpourings of Meera, an enlightened woman from India. She just resonated with existence and poured from her being. That is why the Meera bhajans are famous even today. The energy behind it can never fade because it is the existential energy. Ordinary love cannot be felt over so many years by so many people. Only pure love can radiate that kind of an energy. And for Meera, her bhajans were her prayer. When you have found real love, there is no other way. Prayer becomes love. And pure love does not know to ask. It only knows to flow with the totality. When you stop asking in your prayer, you have found real love. The ordinary love that you know is simply infatuation. Just hormonal torture, nothing else. Your hormones are just pushing you out of your mind. You need someone outside to satisfy your psychological image. Someone who can give you psychological support. You need a shoulder to support you for 2 minutes. You need someone to take care of your needs. You need someone who will boost you up when you are down. You need someone who will sympathize with you and confirm your worries for you. That is what you call love. True love is beyond forms and names, beyond mind and beyond the body. Only a person who can love the whole world beyond all these can become a sannyasi, can become a Vivekananda. A small story from the life of Vivekananda. One night, Vivekananda woke up at 2 a.m. and awakened his disciples. His disciples were anxious and wanted to know what was happening. Vivekananda said that he was feeling a lot of pain and that in some part of the world there was a natural calamity, and that was what was causing him the pain. The next morning, the papers announced a terrible earthquake in Cuba that consumed many lives. He was so sensitive to a calamity that happened in some corner of the world, thousands of miles away. Do you think normal humans can be this sensitive? Even if our neighbor is sick, it will not have any effect on us. A small story. A man called up his family doctor and said, "Doctor, I think you should visit us and do a checkup on my wife." The doctor asked, "Why, is she unwell?" The man replied, "I think so, doctor. Yesterday she got up at her usual time, had a bath, cooked food, sent the children to school. She cleaned the house because the maid did not turn up. She washed our clothes, brought the children back home, attended to their homework and went to bed. Around midnight, she was complaining that she was tired. Maybe she needs to be checked up." Just imagine, we have become so insensitive today. We are not able to connect to the other person who is living with us 24 hours and 365 days of the year. We need to become a lot more sensitive and alive. When your being becomes love, this will happen automatically. No one needs to tell you anything. You will simply be able to feel them and help them. It will become the most natural thing for you. Of course, there are people who crave for attention and so they pretend to be sick. Nothing needs to be done to them. The sensitivity that I am talking about is the deep connection that you need to develop with existence, by virtue of which you become sensitive to the collective consciousness. What happened in Vivekananda is what you call empathy. Mind you, it is not sympathy. It is empathy. Sympathy is a very superficial word. We are all capable of sympathy. When someone tells you they're suffering, you just confirm they're suffering for them. That is sympathy. If someone tells you that their husband is ill, then you tell them, "Oh, how awful. You must be very unhappy. Don't worry, everything will become all right." In the name of sympathy, we confirm their suffering to them, and they in turn tell us that we are so caring and love us for it. Isn't it? Actually, they love us because they feel good when we tell them that they are suffering a lot. It is a subtle ego boost to them, nothing else. They feel good that we are acknowledging that they are managing such big worries. And this is what society calls sympathy. What masters feel is never sympathy. It is empathy. Empathy is when you feel another's suffering in your own being. It is when a person does not have to tell you his suffering, but you simply know because the existential energy in you feels it. Masters are one with you because they are one with existence and you are a part of existence. Only you see them as separate, and because they are one with you, they feel your pain in their heart. They don't know any other way, and they have the capacity to accept the suffering that comes with it also. Ordinary love gives birth to children, while real love gives birth to your own real self. You give yourself a new birth, a transformation. Like how the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, man becomes a realized soul. You awaken to the energizing love that lay dormant in you all along. When Vivekananda says, "Arise, awake," does it mean that we are sleeping? Of course. We are sleeping even without knowing that we are sleeping, and we pass judgments while we are asleep. We criticize when we are asleep. We condemn when we are asleep. We think we are awake and we criticize. We think we know everything about everything, including love. We think what we know is real love. A small story. A man had a wealthy old aunt whom he visited regularly. He had one eye on her wealth and would go out of the way to please her. She had 2 cats which she was very fond of. The man knew this and would look after the cats religiously, hoping to win the lady over. His secret wish was that she would make him a part of her will when she wrote it. He would come every day, feed the cats with milk, play with them, spend a lot of time with them, and go back. The old lady was very pleased at the way he looked after the cats. She was very happy when she saw the whole thing. Soon she passed away. She left him the 2 cats. She saw that he was so fond of the 2 cats that she left him the cats and died. You can imagine the disappointment in the man. He must have felt so terrible at having gone through all those months of affected love. He must have felt cheated. He must have burned with anger and disappointment. With ordinary love, there is every possibility that you will feel cheated. People love for wealth, for the favors that they get done, for the words of advice they get when they are in trouble, for other people's forgetful ways which they can exploit, and what not. Love always comes with a reason. Love always comes with some expectation. But people will never accept this for a fact. They don't accept it because they are deluded by their own ordinary love. They think that it is the way love will happen. And they think they are so loving and that I am simply bringing down their love. Honestly, if you sit and think by yourself, you will understand what I am saying is nothing but the truth. Do a sincere inquiry on yourself and see. You will know. Just sit down and try to visualize how you will react if your father or mother or sister behaved in a slightly different way towards you. That is enough. We are all the time in need of something from someone, and so we are continuously paving the way to get it from them in a smooth way. The smooth way is what we call love. Don't think that this applies to getting material wealth only. It applies to simple things like even when you expect a certain type of behavior from a certain person. You expect each one's behavior to be in a particular fashion, and you behave accordingly with them. As long as both of you are behaving in this fashion, you love each other. If someone misses it somewhere, your love takes a momentary dip. For example, you all claim that you love me very much. Each one of you has got a particular idea of how I should behave towards you. I simply behave towards each of you in the fashion that you expect me to behave. That is what I am doing now actually. What happens? If even once I don't smile at you or say something to you that does not fit me into your frame, you start thinking that I don't love you. You feel a momentary loss of love towards me. You start thinking that maybe I am not so loving after all. The transaction that you call love immediately suffers. You start imagining your own things about why I said a particular thing to you or why I did not smile at you. I might have been talking to someone else, or I might have simply not smiled at you, just to allow your ego to settle a bit, that's all. But you miss the whole game and start interpreting my actions with your own dictionary of love. What will happen? You will only end up in deep misery. This is how you simply complicate love. At least when it comes to me, there is no complication added to it from my side, because thankfully I am beyond ordinary love. Imagine what will happen when two of you start relating with each other in this fashion. There will be total chaos. You will simply be moving from low love to high love to low love. That's all. You have become so interdependent on each other when it comes to your emotions especially love. The reasons for your interdependency can be so subtle and deceiving that you will not know them until your love violates them. If you can just love without a reason, that is pure love. Pure love is not dependent on anything else. It is dependent only on yourself. Be very clear. People tell me, Swamiji, we love our children. When it comes to putting up with their naughty behavior, how many times have we sworn at them? One girl was telling me at the ashram, Swamiji, my mother loves my children only if they behave themselves well. She wants me to bring the children to show them off as her grandchildren to her friends, and finally lands up scolding me for the chaos that the children create. When you see children, you are pulled by their innocence. That is one thing. The second thing is, it gives you a feeling of pride, an ego boost, when you see that they are your own creation. And of course, you provide for them and make them happy. But what I am saying is, this love also comes with limitations and preferences. It is highly subjective to the ways of the children. A small story. A man was laying a concrete road. He had just finished laying the road when a group of children from the neighborhood came running onto the road, leaving footmarks behind. The man got very angry and swore at them. His friend asked him, Hey, what is the matter? I thought you liked children. The man replied, Yes, I do, but not on concrete. Ordinary love always comes with some conditions somewhere, with some vested interest somewhere, with some fine print somewhere. This is what I am trying to say. We love people subject to name, place, moods and situations. It is so subjective. Whereas a master's love, on the other hand, is pure love. It is real love. It showers without asking a question. It knows not any name or place, mood or situation. Every word uttered by a master is out of pure love for you, for your own growth. Every action of the master is filled with love. The only natural emotion of a master is love. All his other emotions are just affectations that he poses to you to make you understand in the language that you know. I always tell my disciples, when I am compassionate, I cheat you, and when I fire, I teach you. Either way, you will grow. Sometimes I demonstrate my compassion in a very loving way so that you are more malleable to my transforming fingers, so that you become more vulnerable for transformation. Sometimes I show my compassion by simply firing you so that you are jolted into deeper awareness. In both the cases, pure love for you is the only reason. A master is an ocean of infinite love and knows only to give. He is existence itself. If you approach him with a bowl, you will take back a bowl of him with you. If you approach him with a picture, you will take back a picture of him. It all depends on how thirsty you are. The thirstier you are, the bigger the vessel you will approach with. But he is there always, watching you walking up to him with vessels of various sizes, and laughing to himself at your own uncertainty, at the play of your mind, of your logic, of your conditions which you project on him. See, be very clear. I'm not asking you to love God or any master. You don't even know God. Then how can you love him? It is very difficult for you to love something you haven't seen. But you can love all that you can see, is it not? You can love the animals, the plants, people, and whatnot. Simply love them for no reason except the joy of loving. Simply feel a deep connection with them and love them. Once you start doing this, you will develop a certain faith in existence, because existence is the common thread that runs through all of these things. Faith is something that cannot be imposed upon you. If it is imposed upon you, you will only resist it. You will find it annoying and will develop an aversion towards the object of faith. You will feel that you are being made dependent unduly on another thing. But when it becomes your experience, it is totally different. When this faith happens, slowly your love will become love towards existence, towards God, or the life force which is in all these things. Then you will start exuding love towards existence, and the ultimate religion will take root in you, the religion of gratitude and love. Gratitude and love are closely related. When you experience gratitude at the bottom of your being, there will be only love in you, nothing else. The first step towards feeling real love is feeling gratitude. As long as there is discontentment in your system, there cannot be any real love. Gratitude and love go hand in hand. We will talk more about gratitude when we go into the last chakra, the Sahasrara chakra. When I tell people all these things, they tell me, Swamiji, I love the whole world, Swamiji. I don't do harm even to a small ant. Why do you want to delude yourself by saying all these things? Can you even love your neighbor wholeheartedly? I tell you, it is easy for people to say things like they love the whole world because they don't have to do anything tangible to prove they love the world and remain where they are. They don't have to do anything special to show it. The world is, after all, an intangible entity. It is something abstract. It is not a clear representation. But when you say that you love your neighbor, the problem starts. You have to see his face every day. You have to do something tangible to prove your love for him. Then it becomes a problem. And how can you feel great in not doing any harm to any ant? Is the ant capable of violating your property or person? Is it capable of testing your love for it? It is not even visible to the eye, and you talk to me about it. It sounds ridiculous, is it not? Claiming that you don't think of harming even an ant. These are all ways to escape from the truth. Just try to understand one thing. Your inherent nature is love. Love is permanent. All other emotions simply come and go, that's all. You are caught in thinking that all the other emotions are real and that they are destroying love. Love can never be destroyed. If love could be destroyed, it would have become extinct long ago. Also, when you really love, the opposite emotions cannot enter into you. They will simply be excluded. When there is a bright light in a room, can darkness be brought in? No. Only when you dim the lights, darkness can enter. In the same fashion, only when real love has not happened in you, the other emotions can take over. When you are brimming with love, there is no other emotion that can enter. And this chakra, the Anahata chakra, is supposed to make you brim with love because it is overflowing, energizing, loving energy. You might have experienced, when you do anything intensely, you will forget yourself. You might have experienced this many times in your lives. It can be anything that you do. It can be as simple as coloring or painting or reading or anything. When you go deep into it, you forget yourself. When you have an intense headache, just try doing something interesting very deeply. Your headache will go away. You see, Because you are continuously aware of your head, your headache continues to bother you. The moment you go deep into something else and lose awareness of your headache will simply disappear. Only when you remember your head, you can have a headache. When you go deeply into any emotion, only that emotion remains and you cease to exist. This is what we mean by totality. This moment of you disappearing, you may experience for just a few seconds. But if you work on being intense and total in everything, this experience of you disappearing will happen more often to you and for longer periods also. Soon you will master the art of doing work intensely and just being absent. You can then turn off and on at your will. You become independent of the work that goes on outside. In the same way, when you are brimming with love, you don't feel yourself. You feel only love. You become love. When you become love, you automatically exude compassion towards everyone and everything around you. You take up a lot more responsibility around you. This responsibility is not out of ego of serving people, but out of the overflowing energy which is in you. Love and responsibility always go hand in hand. When you truly love, you will take up total responsibility as well. People think that sannyasis are those who run away from responsibility. Let me tell you, when you forego responsibility towards your own family, you are taking responsibility for a much bigger family, for humanity at large, a family which is millions of times bigger than your own. People don't understand this and they criticize. The more responsibility you take up, the more you expand. Responsibility is something that can be easily shrugged. But if you don't shrug it and keep on shouldering it, you will expand and the divine energy will automatically flow in you. And you can take up more and more responsibility only when you feel overflowing energy in you. I always tell my healers in the healers meet, take up as much responsibility for the suffering and pain around you and heal the people. When you feel that you are responsible for the pain around you, you will automatically stand up to help reduce it in some way or the other. People often think that it is enough if they do things for their own family. This is a way of contraction, not a way of expansion. You need to expand for growth to happen. You will radiate energy when you stand up with responsibility. Existence will automatically flow through you when you take up responsibility. People say, Swamiji, is it enough if I am able to feed my family properly? I tell you, this is just an excuse to draw a tight boundary around yourself, a way to contract yourself. You must have heard of the famous lines of Bodhidharma. Buddham sharanam gacchami, dhammam sharanam gacchami, sangam sharanam gacchami. It means, I surrender to Buddha, I surrender to Dhamma, the preaching of Buddha. I surrender to the Sangha or institution created by Buddha. It is very easy to surrender to Buddha or any master. You don't have to do much for it. Masters are so luring by virtue of their divinity that it doesn't take much time from your side to do this. People tell me that the moment they see me, they feel a certain belief and faith in me. I tell you, this is not a big deal. The existential energy in me pulls you. That's all. Let's take the next statement. I surrender to the preaching of Buddha. This is a little more difficult than the first, because the moment you say this, you have to show that you are following it. For example, I say to you, be blissful. That is my teaching. What do you do then? No, Swamiji, it is not practical. Be very clear. I say only practical things. You start thinking that I am enlightened and that I don't know anything about your so-called practical life. No, you are absolutely wrong. I say only those things that can become a part of your day-to-day life. I am sharing my experience with you when I say be blissful. I am not preaching the words. Understand that first. I am not just preaching the words. When I say be blissful, I am drawing you to experience the bliss that I am in. And it is perfectly practical because I am alive here in front of you. The third line says, I surrender to the institution created by Buddha. Here starts the real problem. This requires a tremendous responsibility to be taken upon oneself. Understand, masters live in their mission more than in their body. Only 33% of their energy is in their body. The remaining 66% is in their mission and teaching. That is the kind of responsibility they live with. I always tell people, I get my energy from my movement, not from the food that I eat. Masters never take up birth to fulfill any karmas or unfulfilled desires in them, because they don't have any karma to be fulfilled. They take birth out of sheer compassion, sheer love, to kindle the spirit of the people. The longevity of a master is determined by the intensity and the speed of his mission, which is the very purpose of his birth. Masters live more in their words and movement than in their body. That is why I always tell you, drop my form and become sensitive to the energy instead. But what do? You try to keep holding my elbow all the time. Instead of doing my work, which is actually your work, you tag behind me wanting to be with my physical form all the time. You never understand when I say this to you. Understand that when you do the work of a divine mission, you are doing two things. One, meditation for your own spiritual growth, and the second, service to society with responsibility. The second is only a byproduct. The transformation that happens in you while you are doing the work is my actual work of transforming you. My work is to continuously transform you, and that happens in different ways. One of them is by making you do the work of the mission. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So just take on responsibility with joy. When you are confronted with seemingly high responsibilities, simply nod your head to it. The mere nodding without resistance is enough. The rest will be taken care of by existence. Have you heard of the Mysore Pak, the famous Indian sweet? It will look and feel heavy, but the moment you put it in your mouth, it will melt and dissolve and give you a renewed source of energy as well. Likewise, when you simply nod your head to any responsibility, you will immediately get the energy to execute it. The very act of taking up responsibility will bring the necessary energy into you. This is the loving energy of existence that you need to discover in you. To take up responsibility, you need to love the whole of existence without discrimination. When you love without discrimination, you can take up responsibility without discrimination. Responsibility is nothing but the ability to respond spontaneously. When you can respond without a thought, without a plan, ready to take on anything with just the spontaneity in you, you have arrived. Okay. Any questions till now? Swamiji, I want to be loving, but I am unable to let go. Yes, to be totally loving is a big challenge for the ego. To be totally loving is to merge oneself with the whole. This is great trouble for the ego. You are right now fragmented. You are not integrated. When you are fragmented, you simply play with your different fragments and escape, that's all. To be loving means you need to become integrated. You are scared to become integrated. When you become integrated, you grow as a whole. But to become integrated, you need to die and be reborn. You are so used to being fragmented that you feel threatened when you have to integrate yourself. Your ego refuses to allow it to happen. When you become loving, you are melting your ego. Earlier, your ego was hard. It was solid and you felt good. What will happen when your ego melts? You will feel like you are losing your whole identity. If you just decide to let go at least once, you will feel such a tremendous freedom, such liberation inside yourself. You need courage to let go and become loving. As a first step, at least become aware of this deep inside. It will then automatically happen. Awareness is the key to open any lock. Please understand, when you start loving beyond names and forms, you are not losing anything. You are only losing what you are not, the illusion which you need to lose. What you have gained is reality. So just have faith and don't fear when you find yourself merging with the whole. Never avoid the merger between the whole and you. Just let go and watch the inner transformation happen in you. You will then realize how foolishly you were holding on to the ways of your ego. You will realize how much you missed because you were behind the mask of ego. And understand that real love never calculates. The mind calculates while the heart doesn't. It is time you moved from your mind to your heart. You have listened enough to your mind. Decide now and listen to your heart. You will then have no regrets at all. When you live with your heart, you will never regret anything in life because you will live with such completeness with it, with such totality. You can never experience true love with your mind. You can experience it only with your heart. Love needs to be experienced at the very center of your being. The center of your being is totally silent. It does not know any words or thoughts. No thought can ever penetrate it. It does not know any language except the language of love. That is why, time and again, masters tell you to go deep inside yourself to discover yourself. This center is your true nature. This is the real you. But you seek to find yourself in all sorts of places, relationships and people. You are continuously missing. It is time you looked inside. It is time you stopped looking outside. You have deceived yourself enough. Time to move on. We continuously talk about love simply because we are missing it, simply because we have not had a taste of it. It is like this. When a person is thirsty, he talks and dreams of water all the time. The moment he has quenched his thirst, he will stop talking about it. We need to let go and experience true love, the love that merges you with the whole and then we will stop talking about it. Existence is waiting with open arms to engulf you, to dissolve you into itself, but only if you are ready to let go. Just have the courage to let go with an open heart. You will meet and merge with it. When you are ready to feel the embrace of existence, you rise into a higher plane, a plane of higher consciousness. You enter into a space you never even knew existed. With existence, you always fall in to rise. Love is actually surrender, but it becomes a fight for most of us. We fight with ourselves and we fight with existence also. When I say surrender, I don't mean surrendering out of acceptance. I mean surrendering out of a deep understanding. When you surrender out of acceptance, you are just compromising. Love can never be a compromise. Understand that. The moment you compromise, you are not loving. Only when you understand and dissolve, it becomes love. When you are with a master, you have a lifetime opportunity to discover love. You have the opportunity to die and resurrect with true love. The alchemy process that happens in you in the presence of a master will give you no option but to die and be born again with true love. All you need to do is to be willing to die or dissolve in him. When you are ready for this, when you have the courage to do this, you are ready to take a leap into higher consciousness. Love is not an object. It is the subject. It is you. You become love, that's all. Then you will start loving without any reason. You will love the trees, the flowers, the earth, and whatnot. You will simply radiate love. You then become one with the whole universe. All boundaries disappear and you will merge with existence. You see, when you grow in love, you learn to include everything and everyone. When you see a master, you will understand how encompassing he is. He never excludes anything or anyone. He sees no imperfections in anyone. He is just pure love, that's all. And pure love sees no imperfections. Existence is pure love, and society is always against pure love. Deep inside, society is actually against existence or God. All its worship is mere hypocrisy. It hides behind worship. The best way not to follow anything deeply is to start worshipping it. Society escapes in the name of worship. When you worship, you don't have to do anything else, and people will not trouble you because you are worshipping. But what happens to your inner space? No growth happens, and it remains where it was. Society will never approve of you if you were to let go and love every plant and animal with endless love. It will tell you that you are mad. It will approve only of societal love. Love that is governed by give and take. Love that comes in with a reason. But I tell you, don't give up. Keep on loving with all your heart. See existence in everything. Feel the plants with tenderness in your heart. See the animals as if they were your own. See every human being as a part of God. That is real worship. It is easy to worship God in the temple. The real worship is seeing everything as God, seeing your neighbor as God. People never go to the root of anything. That is the problem. The root of God is love. The root of God lies in seeing Him in everything. People are afraid to go to the root, and so they delude themselves in superficial layers. They don't have the courage to explore beyond a certain point in anything in life. That is why they don't allow you also to explore. They tell you what they have found is the truth. They tell you that it is enough if you follow what they are saying. I tell you, have the courage to go deep inside and love. You will start feeling the common thread of existence in all that you see. You will understand that all that you see are illusory happenings held together by the thread that is existence. Automatically you will start loving everything in the same way without any trouble, because you will see only existence in everyone and everything. Of course, you have to allow this transformation to happen in you, only then it will happen. Any change in you is a shift in consciousness. It is not any switch. Love is the only thing that can make you feel that you are a part of existence. You can talk for years and years about existence or God and still not have any experience of it. Of course, your ego will be nice and solid because you feel that you know so much about God. But if you look in, there will be no solid experience. And because you have no solid experience, you keep getting caught with words. Because if you stop talking, there is nothing left. There is no experience to enjoy. Start feeling love towards existence and you will experience God in all the small things that happen to you. Because all of you are here, I am talking so much to you. If you were not here, I will be continuing to talk to this banyan tree and all the plants. Every leaf here talks to me. That is the language of real love. For years together, people have been telling you that you are an advanced species of animals. Be very clear, even animals are not animals. Each and every atom on this earth is divine, a part of existence. If you understand this clearly, you will be able to start feeling for everything around you. Your body does not need love, but your being needs it. Love is an adventure where you go into dissolution. Where you are not, love is. We don't have the courage to not be, and so we hold on. We pull back from unconditional love. Those who are ready to take the adventure into dissolution, into experiencing the whole, are the brave ones. The ordinary love that you know is like fighting within four walls. You fight with complete security. Real love is like fighting in the cold on the open streets. The courageous ones will fight on the streets and win. When you fight within four walls, you are secure, but your life is as good as dead. You are like a living corpse. When you are ready to fight on the streets, you are full of life and alive. Again, understand one thing. You need not have any fear of fighting in the open. If you fight knowing that you are fighting under the compassionate eyes of existence, you need not fear. Because even if you fall into its very lap. But you have to have the courage to stand up and fight. That is the step that you take on your side. The rest, existence will take care. This will happen if you are just a little more curious to know the truth. Mere curiosity is not enough. If you are just curious, you will come, flirt, and get away. If you are more than curious, if there is a burning desire in you that surfaces at least once in a while, you can start knowing and experiencing the truth. If you are merely curious, there will be no devotion or dedication. But if there is a fire, there will be devotion and dedication. Dedication is what brings you here again and again. Try as you might to run away from me. You can't. You might stay away from me for a few days, but the burning desire inside will draw you to me again and again. To discover true love, you have to have this intensity within you. Love as much as you can without asking for anything in return. Loving for a reason is not love. It is just a business deal. When you can love without a reason, when you can love anything and anyone that comes your way, you will release tremendous inner energy and beauty. You will appear simply beautiful, irrespective of whether you are physically beautiful or not. And one more thing, don't think that unconditional love will not get you back anything. It will get you back things in more than one way, but you should evolve to an extent where you see these things coming to you and remain unaffected by them and continue loving just for the sake of loving. Your intelligence will make you see the things that you get in return, and the same intelligence will keep you blissfully untouched by them. There will be a revolutionary change in your heart, and you will be a new person. You will find the change in you, and so also will others. People will develop a new kind of respect for you. They will see that you are flowering in a way incomprehensible to them. They will be able to feel the energy that you radiate. To be able to love unconditionally, you need to be free. When you feel free and liberated, you will be able to love without a worry and reason. What do I mean by liberation? Not being bound by caste, creed, sect, religion, family, relatives, and whatnot. Because when you are bound by all this, your love will remain bound. And bound love is not real love. How can you love with boundaries? It is against the very definition of love. I am not saying that you should forget your family and religion, etc. Just don't see love in the context of all this, that's all. When you love, love like you are liberated. When do you feel liberated? When you are free from all bondages of these things. When you don't identify yourself with any one particular thing. When you feel that you belong to the whole of existence, then you can love without any boundaries. I always tell people, if you are able to feel my love in each other, then you have had a glimpse of real love. Because as I told you, it is very easy to love me. But if you can feel the same love that you feel towards me, towards the other devotees also, then you have caught the thread of real love. Then you have started feeling existence in everything. Then slowly you will move on to embracing everything and everyone as a part of existence. All right. It is time now for us to enter into the meditation. We will now do a simple and very effective meditation technique called the Mahamantra meditation for the Anahata Chakra. I will give you the instructions for the meditation. Please listen carefully.